excited to welcome our guest today, Gianni Di Iorio. I've had the pleasure of meeting him in person down at Bitcoin 2021 in Miami. He's done a tremendous amount of things with cryptocurrency, blockchain, and branding within this space for quite a while. So earlier in his career, he was with the pioneer gaming company that you all know of as Alienware. Yes, they made those awesome gaming computers. And in fact, I had one back in the day as well, and it just paid dividends as far as just gaming and just fun, and it lasted a long time too as well. And more recently, he was working with Ethereum's co-founder Anthony Di Iorio at Decentral Jaxx as the director of marketing. Now, I know I've said a mouthful as far as a summary, but Gianni, I wanted to warmly welcome you to our show today, and also talk a little bit about yourself and some of what you're working on.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for having me. And it was great to see you in person. You know, sometimes when you're in these virtual worlds that we coexist in, from Zoom to Discord channels to Telegram groups, wait, let me start counting, text, WhatsApp, probably 9 other chat things that we all kind of deal with. It's great to see someone in real life. But yeah, just my background, 20 years doing marketing and branding. But I love to be early on things. My first job back in the day was during the dot-com boom, and that didn't last too long. And that's how I got the job at Alienware, because I was studying graphic design. I became a web designer, self-taught, because that's what you did those days. Right. And I just decided to just jump in, and I would see the ads in the magazines with these crazy specs that they would have about their computers. And I'm like, hey, it says address here, it says Miami. Hey, let me go apply. And so I joined them for a year. Then I left for 2 years, and I came back because, it's a great story. And it's a great success story for Miami. It's two guys from Hialeah who, started a gaming computer company. Built it in the model of like Dell, and later sold it to Dell. And all those individuals later, many of them went on to do other things. One of the founders of alumni from Alienware became a founder at Origin PC. And then later on, the other GM became a chief executive officer, gaming officer for AMD now. So lots of interesting things with them. But like moving forward to like 2013, I was working for a voice over IP company as a director of marketing and business development, and I just got enthralled by crypto. And it was during the Silk Road craziness that happened in November of that time, and I wasn't so much into the nefarious aspects of it. I didn't even know that was happening. So number one is fascinating to learn that this existed, right? Like this whole underworld existed. Then this cryptocurrency that was being traded existed, which I had heard about it, but I couldn't really get deep into it. Sure. And then what I did was I just got really deep into the forums. And those days I used to call it the Bitcoin diet, because I would just like spend like hours and hours just devouring content and information. Now we obviously call it like going down the rabbit hole. But I was like, how can I get involved in this, because I'm not a coder to the degree that you need it to be to really be contributing to that world at that time. But all these cool projects were popping up, and my first experience was actually creating a repeating background of Bitcoin logo and a snowflake, because it was Christmas time, and putting it on the forums, adding my my Bitcoin address to it, and just seeing what would happen. I did this for you guys. And what was cool is that somebody tipped me like $50 worth of Bitcoin. And, I don't know if that's an NFT, probably not, because they didn't get to own that background image. But it was, if you think about it, it's like, they paid me $50 for this JPEG as a thank you. And that kind of got my brain going. And so what I did at New Year's, I launched this website. Like, I did it like over a weekend just to test an idea called 51 attack. Obviously the 51% attack on
attack,
which I still have the domain and it's still up there doing something, but it's not, what it was then. But I found a payment processor that would allow me to accept like 47 different cryptocurrencies at the time. This was before Ethereum or anything. These were just like clones of Bitcoin. We had Doge during that time. And so I did like a t-shirt company. I had to find someone that would accept the crypto to print the t-shirts. And so the idea was to kind of say, people were saying you can't have like a whole ecosystem using crypto. And so I kind of proved it wrong by having, accepting cryptocurrency, auto trading it to Bitcoin, and then later, giving this person across in the West Coast in California to make the shirts and fulfill the shirts straight with Bitcoin, right? So, and then use that to buy gift cards to go buy some food or do something. So I kind of proved that you didn't really need to get out of that world. And because of that little business, it gave me a little bit of clout and helped me kind of network with people and, it was part of the community. And I was fortunate enough to be asked to the house, the Ethereum house, the night before Ethereum was announced here in Miami during the North American Bitcoin conference in 2014, and got to meet those people and became friends with them. And then, fast forward, there was a lull. Obviously, Ethereum was launched, then the ICO, and then they had, they actually released the coins. And then 2016, 2017, we started seeing the ICOs and things started blowing up. And then I said, you know what, I'm going to stop working for someone else in the aspect of like traditional technology. I'm going to go, now I can work completely blockchain. And so I went to join Anthony Di Iorio at Jaxx, which was the first multi-cryptocurrency wallet that was created basically.
Right.
And I was there for a year, helping him with branding and just different things at the company. And it was a very exciting time. And then we had another crash and then went back to marketing. And now I'm back to blockchain. Finally, I have, reformatted myself, I guess, in 2020 to like just go full on, still with marketing, but, more focused with cryptocurrency and blockchain and NFTs and things like that.
Right. And what was remarkable at Bitcoin 2021 in Miami, I literally felt like I was in the center of the world because it seemed like any solution that is probably going to make things a little bit better in society is probably going to come out of people, like-minded people in a room like this, to say the very least. So, knowing what I know about Miami and maybe, you also being from Miami, are you surprised that Miami is now viewed as maybe the next tech and cryptocurrency hub of the world, perhaps even displacing Silicon Valley?
Well, I can tell you, since our Mayor Suarez, started with those tweets of how can I help, right? Getting people to there were a lot of people were coming to Miami to escape COVID and escape certain states that have, certain restrictions and whatnot. We always had people coming here that have houses and, enjoy themselves here, but not really working out of Miami, but this kind of like, how can I help? And that's how I met, Chris from from PiñaPay, because he was referred to me through, I guess, him reaching out to the mayor's team, and someone from the mayor's team kind of like, it's kind of like almost like a welcoming committee, but online in a sense. And so that's how I connected with Chris and try to help him and see what he could do. But as a result of what the mayor has been doing, is just phenomenal, the amount of people that have come and people that are staying.
Yeah.
And, thinking back during all these different tech times in Miami, there's always been founders, there's always been business people.
As a result,
I think
what the mayor has been doing.
I can hear myself. Oh, there's Chris. How you doing, Chris?
Hey, welcome, Chris.
Sorry, had some technical difficulties. But yeah, I was just saw you on LinkedIn. I heard you talking about me and I hopped right in.
There we
So
go.
basically, yeah. So, when I met Chris through that kind of connection through the city, because, aspect of it's kind of the mayor is a conduit, and then other people are also helping in different facets, from capital to crypto to just business, and people looking for resources to what to do and bring their teams here and headquarters here and all that. Like it just started blossoming. And before in Miami, we had these things happen, but we didn't really have a strong development group. A lot of people would go to school and kind of leave to go to Silicon Valley, go to New York, go to different places, and they weren't staying here. But and I've been kind of like a homebody. I live, in Kendall and towards like the west side of Miami, right? Yeah. So it's not like the hub of like where everybody's at Wynwood and downtown and Miami Beach. I hadn't been going out because of COVID, but more recently I've been coming out, and obviously during the Bitcoin conference, just seeing the multitude of people, and then seeing the multitude of people that were surrounded. Last night I went to a Polygon Chainlink event, packed house, people raising their hands. How many people have been here for less than 5 years, or 10 years? A little pocket of, maybe like a quarter of the people were like Miamians or natives. And then just the rest of the people are, people that are moved or working out of here. And so it's just very exciting to see that, all that stuff. And a lot of young people who are building things behind the scenes are here too. Like it's really, really cool. Met a lot of that during the conference as well, outside the conference, at other kind of like satellite events that I went to.
Wow. That's no, it's definitely incredible. And I think a lot of people seem to have been surprised. I'm not entirely surprised, but I am surprised as far as like the length, as far as Miami's really proven itself. And to be honest, I used to live down there as Chris did as well. So to be honest, like I couldn't be happier seeing the turnout and seeing what's going on over there. Obviously, in fact, our business is based out of Miami too. And right now, I guess if you turn on the news or if you just go online and you're just, puttering around looking at some content, what do you think about the prospect of cryptocurrency eventually replacing fiat currency? It seems to be almost the fear of, let's say, status quo, whether it's status quo Washington, D.C. or Wall Street. And I wanted to know your thoughts on that, because, you were in on blockchain relatively early, to say the very least, and in Miami, no less. So I think for a lot of people, this looks very promising. And then I think for the old guard, this looks very, very disturbing in many ways. So I wanted to know what your thoughts were on that.
I mean, I think everybody in crypto has, they contemplate what that would be, kind of like thinking to the future. Will this kind of cryptocurrency, or what cryptocurrency or any cryptocurrency will replace this fiat? One thing is fiat and one thing is kind of digital money, right? Because we kind of have digital money already, right? You're using a debit card, you're using a credit card, but it's not really like a one-to-one, like ledger-based thing that's like you would be able to like really have like strong accountability of that. You wouldn't have, like the fiascos of like stock trading where you have like extra shares being issued that nobody knows where they came from because there's no real ledger. And I can only assume
that's actually a very good point.
That probably happens with cash too, know, because you can easily make a mistake or the accounting is not perfect. And obviously there's a lot of safeguards, but those safeguards are expensive. So you can imagine having everything on a blockchain would be interesting. So, I mean, for me, like it's the last bastion of something that's going to be turned digital, right? Like money was something. And you got to think about governments had a monopoly on that idea of money. Like you only had these government-based currencies and that's it. But now we know there's, we had World of Warcraft Gold, which had an exchange rate. We have collectibles that have an exchange rate, but now are digital as well. And we have hundreds of different types of cryptos that are just popping up out of nowhere, as social tokens, as airdrop reward tokens, as all these things. And obviously our government, maybe for the purposes of protecting consumers, want to have certain regulations and all that, but also we know that some of those regulations are brought on by big players who want to kind of keep the status quo. But I think the cat's out of the bag. So you can't put away what Bitcoin's doing, what Ethereum's doing, and just the ability to roll your own whatever. You know, sometimes you do it and then ask for permission later, but at the same time, people are doing it conscious of the law. There's a lot they can do, but it's going to be very challenging to like stop what's happening, right?
Right.
But I'll give you one little point. You still, right now, we're here, we're having this conversation through a system that at some point, this computer that I had to pay for it with cash. I could pay for it with crypto, but some point in that logistical chain, cash is going to be used, right? I got to put it in a credit card to pay for Zoom, or I got to go, put gas in my car, and as I mentioned before, this idea of like getting crypto and buying a gift card, I can do that, but it's still cash at the other end, right? You still got to pay your taxes with cash, with that fiat, with that government currency. So the thing that I think will probably happen is that as this technology matures, the governments will have, and we're already seeing it, their own crypto. It just makes sense, and I have fears about that as well, because now that's going to be very fluid. So hopefully if we can still stay in this thinking of America as a democracy, and that the people are really the ones that are in control, then positives could come out where the money's going into public goods, and we can actually really check to see that money's going to the places that they're meant to go to, because it's completely auditable, right? Like you can really there's no hiding it, but at the same time, they can also use it to control us and to take more, which could be as easy as a smart contract, right? When you get paid for work, we got to subscribe to some government smart contract that will automatically take its taxes from you, right? Automatically. I mean, that could be really convenient, but it could also be problematic, right? And so, and again, that's all elective. But I mean, digital currencies for governments are going to come. Other cryptocurrencies are going to stay and maintain. Bitcoin, I think, is a fantastic kind of store of value as kind of like that standard, and then others will have other types of uses and things. But it's not going to go away. We just have to see how they kind of all kind of come together and work themselves out. But yeah. It's gonna be interesting, and obviously you're seeing El Salvador, and you're seeing.
To my next question, yeah.
And then Panama just mentioned that they're looking into it,
right,
as well. So it's really fascinating. So.
Right, that was going to be my follow-up question. So you almost took the words right out of my mouth.
It was a lead-in, man. You're leading it. Governments and crypto. We got to think about El Salvador.
Right. Yeah, so I was going to say, with El Salvador, with Bitcoin now being legal tender there, do you predict or do you speculate that El Salvador will end up being a success story as far as a government and mass adoption of cryptocurrency Bitcoin in society? And if it is a success story, do you think the rest of Latin America will end up, jumping on board and trying to do the same thing? I would imagine this is ultimately benefit Miami, either directly or indirectly. But I wonder what your thoughts were on that.
I think it's going to take time, but more. And again, you use the word speculation. I can't really speculate on if it's going to do good or bad or whatever, because there's a lot of factors in there. But I think the most important factor, and we can't lose sight of this idea that most of those populations, and even the population in the United States, are people that are underserved, maybe some don't even have, if we're thinking about South America, we're thinking about Central America, there are pockets of people with middle and upper class, but there's going to be huge pockets of people that many have a cell phone, but maybe many don't have a computer, or haven't gone to that extra step of understanding, okay, I got to get Bitcoin, I got to get a wallet. And, once they surpass that, it makes it much easier. But, if they have to pay for internet, if they have to be, paying for the cell phone service to have data, even though it's cheap and that transaction of a Bitcoin is not going to be that much of a nuisance, you need kind of like that little bit of a little bit of adoption. But the fact that the government's accepting it, seeing legal tender, I think it'll be a matter of time that more people will come to it. I just hope that it's not like, oh, it's a year from now and only 10% of the population is doing stuff with crypto and it's a failure. I think that takes education. It's going to take the government also creating ways to educate its people on the benefits or the uses. Also roll out things that make it easy. I can give you a story. Like in 2014, when we would have the Bitcoin meetups, we'd go to a bar that actually comes out. It was called Latin Grill. Comes out in Guy Fieri's show, and he's got on his. I know Chris will like this. He's got the Bitcoin sign on his, on his chef's jacket, right? Oh, wow. Because he was like the only place that he would accept crypto, and he was just keeping the crypto as an investment. He wasn't even exchanging, but we would go there for the meetup and then scan it, and then go get a beer or get some food. But it's not efficient because the attendant has to see if the money went through, and what happens if you have to have a return. It's like that infrastructure is starting to be built out, but like you need that everywhere. Like El Salvador would need every store to have the means to pay with Bitcoin, every gas station to have the means to pay with Bitcoin as a means, So
good stuff. And I do have another question. Then I'll give the floor and I'll give the mic to Chris to ask a few things as well. Since you worked with Ethereum's co-founder Anthony Di Iorio, and we have Ethereum, and now we also have a multitude of other blockchains coming out. We have our Polygons, we have our Matics, we have all different stripes of competitors. What role do you think Ethereum will have over the next few years, and do you think Ethereum will still be very competitive?
Right now, obviously, the gas issue is the big issue, right? Like, and I think a lot of people compare this almost to like the idea that just because gas is up, all these other blockchains may take precedent over Ethereum. And there may be on certain aspects, yes, but just the sheer amount of developers who work and play with Ethereum right now, I think that derivatives of Ethereum, like blockchains, like a Polygon, for example, and other ones that are popping up. I know Consensus is going to do one called Palm, which is going to be like an NFT specific one. We have XDAI, which a lot of, the deep Web3 devs love to play with that one. It's very fast, very efficient. And it's based on like the stable currency of DAI and that kind of idea. They're not going to go away, and they're just going to get better. We got other ones, Solana is getting a lot of attention just recently. I think partly because of some games that are being built on these systems that are driving people to want to buy it. But we have Tezos, for example, where, I think One-Off, which is like this music NFT platform that's partnered with Quincy Jones and two other individuals, one of which I think is from Miami or lives in Miami, because I believe that. But they were looking at, I was listening to a podcast, they were looking at different blockchains to do it on, and they picked Tezos to do it on, which is not one of the ones that, there's a lot of art happening in Tezos with Hicket Nunc. I can never pronounce it, but I had never thought that would be a viable thing. But they raised some good points in that conversation, that Tezos doesn't need to have a hard fork for it to upgrade. It can be done have upgrades on its platform. It's very fast. It's green because it's staking, and so Ethereum needs to solve and get to the point that staking is happening, right?
Right.
To kind of, I think, resolve all these issues, and I think once they do, it will still be a prominent force, but we may see some blockchains kind of like, I don't know, this is an opinion, I may be completely wrong, but we may see some blockchains that like gravitate towards gaming, or we see some blockchains that are going to gravitate towards business applications, I don't know, maybe. Or maybe irrelevant because there are going to be all these kind of interoperable bridges that will be created from Ethereum, which we already know. It's like you can do a bridge.
Oh, Gianni.
I think you cut out.
Yeah,
a little bit there.
yeah, I hit my mute button there
Okay.
by mistake there on my
No
mic.
worries.
But yeah, there's yeah, I saw your face and you're like, oh, something happened to Gianni. But yeah, you know, this interoperability, you have Polkadot, which is like their main like big thing to be like this interoperable kind of thing. It won't, maybe it doesn't even mean anything. You know, it'll be like, I kind of like to use the analogy as like, you get in your car, we can go from A to B. We may be geeks and like this, you know, 6-cylinder V8 or V12 or electric car, but it's still a car, right? So you'd probably be using these applications and not realize the infrastructure at all, unless we're techies or business people that are deciding where we want to put our applications. The public is not even gonna care. Like NBA Top Shots with Dapper, the people that are dealing with it could care less if it's Dapper or blockchain or whatever. They just see this thing, they hear that's NFT, that it's secure or whatever. They're not even concerned that they own their own keys because they're using their wallet, right? So, you know, we're going to see a lot of different things. You know, it's hard to kind of predict, but my prediction is many will continue to succeed. Ethereum is not going to go anywhere because it's kind of like the one where things, people are trying things and has the most developers building on it, and Solidity.
That's very important. Yeah,
you know, was created there. You know,
right.
And that's where they continue to play around with, and people may think, oh, gas prices, but you know, these developers are using test nets and then doing other things in other places that doesn't cost anything. It doesn't matter, right? That doesn't matter at this point. So
very nice. Actually, you know what, Chris? I just have one more follow-up question.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is from what Gianni was talking about. When it comes to gaming, it seems to anybody who follows cryptocurrency and blockchain that NFTs are probably the next, or if not newest, frontier in gaming, just to say the very least. So, I wanted to know from you, over the next few years, how mainstream do you think NFTs and gaming are going to be? And do you foresee any blockchains kind of coming out on top, creating, whether it's you know, additional, I guess you could say additional content in games, like whether it's characters or power-ups or costumes, things like that, or even just entire, I guess you could say, game brands in of itself? I mean, could somebody in this space come up with like the next Metal Gear Solid, for instance?
I think so. I'm fascinated by it. Number one, obviously having the Alienware background and being a gamer.
Yes.
So I haven't been able to game like in months because it's just like there's so much going on. Just have no time to game.
I used to play Quake on my old Alienware PC like all the time.
That was a start. That was a start.
Yeah.
But I could tell you, look, we had cryptocurrency that started in 2014, right? Not 2014, 2009. But I'm saying, you know, we had Ethereum starting 2015. We started being to applications, whatever. You know, we needed to get to the point where we had NFTs as a cultural thing, as this art thing for gaming, because it was, you know, a lot of the first projects of NFTs were game, like collectible cards and things like that, Spells of Genesis, like all those things, right? And so right now, that's what's driven people to go get crypto, to open crypto accounts, to get like MetaMask set up, right? We had a whole group of people. I love to tell the story, like Gary V, completely, you know, all in with the aspect of crypto, where my general contractor of my home and another friend who have never dealt with crypto, had not been interested in it, but this piece of art, this collectible, this membership card, this kind of gamified thing that they're experiencing, they went out and they got open an exchange. They got crypto. They moved crypto to a MetaMask. They went and then bought an NFT because someone, you know, they saw the value of it and they understood it and they were explained to it. And they went through all these obstacles, which we always know in business, like remove the obstacles, it has to be seamless and, you know, but it was enough value that they got them to do it. And now you're starting to see some really interesting things happening with games. You know, I love this idea of play to earn games like Axie Infinity. You know, you've seen Zed Run. Have you checked out Zed Run?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I've heard it. I haven't
game,
actually.
You breed horses and one of my buddies is really into it. And I know the Winklevosses are really into it as well.
I mean, anybody that's into sports or any kind of gaming or, you know, betting or, you know, and it's not even, that's not even on gambling. Is, you know, you buy your horse and you race it, and you can make money racing your horse. It's your horse. But, you know, Chris has a horse that has a little bit better track record or has a little bit better stats, and I can pay him to mate with my horse. Sounds kind of bad, but I generated a new horse, and then I could sell a horse and breed more horses, and like that's a whole economic thing that's like fascinating, right? I just started getting into. There was another game that I'm watching called Riot Racers, which is really interesting because you can buy the car, but the car has slots to put, you know, tires and upgrades and all these things, right? And when they get to race the cars, you know, you're going to have to pay for gas. Well, someone owns the gas station NFT, right? And by paying the gas, you race your cars algorithmically with the upgrades you have and the track conditions that you have. You're paying for, there's the track owner has to get a fee, the gas shop, whatever. I grabbed the mechanic shop, for example. There was only 18. I was lucky enough to grab one of those. But when you go do the upgrade of the car, right, you're gonna have to pay the mechanic shop. So, you know, I don't know how it's going to work out with all the regulations and rules, but, you know, this is like really like blurring the line between, you know, games and work and all these things, right? Like,
and all these like sub and mini economies coming out of this too.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
And then the other fascinating one with games is like, I don't know if you guys see this, you know, the past week, this thing called Loot. Did you check out Loot or Loot Bag?
I've heard of it.
That's it's just a few words.
Exactly. But, you know, you see it and you're like, I can't, you know, you're like, oh man, these JPEG collectors and flippers have lost their mind. They're even buying like, you know, JPEGs with words on them. But the crazy thing is that you just take a moment to like go down that rabbit hole. And what it was free. People could mint for just the aspect of gas, which was already kind of a limiter. And then you have all these words there as like, you know, like a Dungeons and Dragons, you know, bag of goods, where it's like a sword and you got a robe and, you know, you got these pieces and they're all random, they are unique, right? And they had 10,000 of them. They just, you know, they got them. And then kind of like, it's like a Lego for a potential bigger project. And so what happens is they create a new currency called Adventurers Gold, and they airdrop like 10, 20,000, I forget what the amount, to each bag holder. So now that kickstarts some, you know, excitement about building things. And I have never seen, and this is kind of like the excitement of Ethereum back in the day. You have like, if you go to the Loot site, there's been in the past, you know, less than a week, maybe 50 different resources or like derivatives of Loot. You know, your adventurers dogs, adventure, you know, villages, maps. This group that's a DAO called Raid Guild, for example, they put out monster maps and monsters for monster maps, and it's based on an existing tile of a map that dictates where the towns are, but that they reference that map and put where the monsters are on the map.
Oh, nice!
Right, well, and then the monsters
like Legos, but NFT Legos.
Yes,
really.
Yes. But then you also have the monsters there as individual NFTs, right? And there's nothing visual for it. Right now it's just text. But then you jump into a Discord and it's happening through all of them. And then there's narratives happening, and like try to collect all the monsters in your card, or like start joining lands together and like come up with stories. And then they're creating GUIs for these things. You know, this is like less than a week, and you know, it's crazy. And then you have like this parody one called Bloot, which was Beanie Max or whatever. It was like a parody of it, and he also dropped his own currency on top of it. But then he also shifted this paradigm, because as these things trade, they're free, but there has a royalty if you do it through OpenSea or one of these platforms that respect the royalty idea. Every time they change hands, right, there's a royalty getting paid to that contract owner or whoever they set for that contract owner. And so he's taking that, supposedly, I think I read that he's taking the money, and then you're going to get merch for free, right? He may take a little, portion of that royalty fee, but he converts all that to like, all right, let's buy, 1,000 hats and 1,000 sweaters, right? For whatever, if, obviously, if there's a lot of money transacting there, but then first come, first serve. If you have that NFT, you can go claim one of these free bits of merch. And it's kind of like that real world mixing with the other. And then I'll give you this last example. I was interacting with the monster maps from Raid Guild, and I got a monster. It was the Moloch of the dwarf of the burrows or something. And there was an artist that was in the Discord, and she had this pixel art, and I thought that was like fantastic. She had done her thing, and I said, let me commission you to do pixel art of my character, and I paid her with adventure gold, right?
Wow.
So like, it's like these little things that are happening like that, talk about the metaverse being like this virtual thing, but the metaverse is just all this interconnectedness, right? Maybe I can use my Z horse to run through like camp in monster maps,
This sounds awesome. It's like a mixture of like Dungeons and Dragons, Diablo, the
NFT
mini
this
economy.
Is when you release the silos
I gotta sign up this weekend.
Communicate. These are the different types of worlds and things that you're going to start, blending into almost. It's
you know what I want to see? I want to see Chris drop like a recipe loop, right? And you just grab the, you make, and it's a concoction, just random, just a bunch of ingredients with different quantities, right? And then people go out and actually make these recipes, and they probably will taste horribly, but then one of them will be great, and then that NFT will be like really valuable.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Like, just NFTs in general, just like the applications and the different utilities that are all starting to be like, it's like absolutely endless. And me and Adam been talking about kind of like the golden ticket, like how they had the golden ticket for the Bitcoin conference, and it gave you all of these accesses and special privileges and things. It's just like, imagine what small businesses could do with that type of thing. You know what I mean? It just literally it's absolutely mind-boggling what can be done with small businesses, what can be done with hospitality, what can be done. I mean, we're exploring art, but there's also culinary art, like recipe, that is an art at the end of the day. But how do you obviously can't taste it, but you can see the pictures of it, you can see the videos of it, you could own the media of Salt Bay.
Or better yet, Chris, you have your recipe, right? And you put it out there, or maybe it's a video of you talking about, check out this fantastic, whatever, this barbecue sauce that I made, blah, 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 right? And then if you get my NFT on the unlock code, I give you all the tips. I give you the recipe. I give you a bunch of other resources, plus 3 or 4 other recipes.
I send you barbecue sauce in the mail. You get it.
Yeah, you claim it. You get one barbecue sauce for one NFT. But I like to, I'll leave you with this, and then I think we're coming up on the hour on this, but this is what I like to say, right? Everything, and I love blockchain, I love crypto, but I'm fascinated with NFTs because it's like real, like there's a lot of applicability, right? Mm-hmm. Currencies and tokens have a lot of applicability, but it's not accessible to everybody, right? Like if you're a finance person, if you are economically centric, securities and capital and all that, like it all makes sense. And you could see even how your own life could be, dictated by these things. But NFTs are things that are like, not tangible, but kind of tangible, right?
They can be associated to a real world item.
Yeah.
Multi-dimensional.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I'll leave you with this. I believe that at some point, like 5-10 years from now, let's say, every single digital asset, from videos, audio file, 3D files, documents, all that will be an NFT. Because right now, if you open a document in Word or you open a document in Google, it does all the similar things, right? It knows that Gianni made the document, it knows I sent it to Chris. Chris opened it. I don't want Chris to open it anymore, so I'm going to restrict access to you. But it's all kind of controlled through Google, right? Or controlled by Microsoft. But if now I have my own document, I have my own image, I have my own thing, then the software has to adapt to what it does and controls with that NFT, right? So now, you know, we're doing this video and we want to license the video to someone to run on their website. We can just say to the NFT, say, open it up for anybody, go ahead. But if they looked at it and the browser were to understand what's showing there, they would show all our names. They could probably, if they wanted to tip us, they could tip us, and it would, you know, we could do a split. Or we say, you know, you're only allowed to have this NFT on this domain for a certain amount of time. And then after that, it doesn't exist anymore there, right? Because the browser would, you know, we all have to come to consensus to agree that that's it, right? Like that's what the rules are. But I do believe every image you shoot with your phone, every document, every audio file, everything will be an NFT. It makes sense. Yeah. Who created it? Who sent it to who? You know, you don't have to have the identifying information, but you know, if you start thinking in those terms, everything in life is a ledger of some point. You know, it's, you know, move from one place to the other, from one ownership to the other, from one time to the other, right? So,
and what's real quick I know we're wrapping up, but what's interesting to me, as I was saying, it's multi-dimensional or it goes from the multiverse into the real world into AR, because like, for instance, there's a company that's figuring out how to, you know, for fine bottles of wine and for very expensive liquors, once it's opened, the NFT that's associated with that fine bottle gets burnt because they know that it's been opened. So
yeah, if you can build that would be, you know, fantastic. Yeah, you know, exactly. If you want, I'll give you one other project to look up. It's called Miso by Sushi Swap, and it was like they released a sake, right? And you can have exposure to the sake from sake 3 token, right? But if you use the sake token to buy the sake, that removes the token from circulation, but as well as if you drink the sake, now it's also out of, you know, from circulation as well, just like whiskey or, you know, spirits and things like that. So it's just mind-boggling. There's just so much cool stuff that's going to happen, and our kids may be just working in freaking video games or stuff. Right. Like,
well, you know, you also think about like Mars. If we're going to be on Mars in 30 years, this is how we're going to interact with people.
Yeah, but we're gonna probably be using Elon's money, you know, that Dogecoin that he loves so much. That's a conspiracy, right? I've read that there's a conspiracy that the reason why he's pumping it so much is that he wants that to be his Mars currency. But I don't know. It's like I read that somewhere. I think, but I thought it was funny. Yeah, I thought it was funny.
That is a pretty funny conspiracy. But man, this was great talking to you. I'm sorry I got on late. Yeah. But thank you for taking the time and speaking with us. You know,
thank you so much, Gianni.
It was amazing. It's great being able to catch up with you and see what's going on in Miami and all the interesting things that are going on with NFTs. And you know, me and Adam are hoping to get down there soon. We've already got our tickets for Bitcoin 2022. So yes, thank you, Gianni. We really appreciate it.
You got to move down here like permanently. What are you talking about, man?
Oh yeah, no, I'm getting down there permanently.
I mean, you guys look at the name of your company, Piña Pay.
I know.
And you're not here drinking your piña coladas.
Right. Got one guy in Long Island, one guy in New Jersey. I guess we got to fix that.
For sure. So it should have been it shouldn't have been Piña Pay, then it should have been like Long Island iced tea pay.
Now, Piña
awesome,
Pay,
guys. No,
we're definitely getting down there soon. It's been, you know, I have 2 kids and a wife, and trying to get them all from New York down to Miami. And like I said, I lived down there for 8 years. Me and my wife lived down there. We love it. I love Miami. But with a lot of the family here, selling the house, getting the new house, and the real estate in Miami is just like out of control.
Yeah, but we got other places. We got Homestead. We got Hialeah. We got Horse Country. You know, we got other places you can come. It's not just the city. You know, this is like a sub. You know, you come over here, my hood. Yeah. You know, come over to my hood. We'll have a little cafecito. You know.
Oh yeah,
Let's do it, man.
All right.
I'd love that. And by the way, I really appreciate you getting into the weeds with gaming and NFTs, especially that being the next frontier of gaming and probably technology and mini economies and sub economies as we speak. So
yeah, man.
You know, I'm looking forward to maybe talking about that stuff more with you offline. But
yeah,
Gianni, thank you so much for coming on.
That was great.
I got so much out of this conversation, and I'm looking forward to working with you, and look forward to seeing you down at the next Bitcoin conference as well.
Well, Chris, I was telling Adam needs his own radio show like an XM, dude, because he's got that voice, man.
Yeah, he is he's crushing it. Every week he's got 1 to 2 people coming on, people like you that know what they're talking about. I mean, PiñaTalks is becoming its own thing. It's really
maybe it's not Piña Pay anymore. It's PiñaTalks.
Yep.
You gotta put on this little graphic here. You gotta put like a little tip address or something, man.
Yep.
People tip you some. You gotta, or maybe you sell them some Piña coins or something.
That's actually a good idea,
thinking,
Chris.
so that's in the works.
All right, guys. Awesome. Thank you for having me again. I'd love to participate again. It was a good convo. Having these conversations, exploring ideas is always exciting.
Yes, of course. We'll reach out in the near future. We'll do this again.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Gianni, take care. Have an awesome weekend. We'll talk soon.
Thank you.